Hi, welcome to my channel. My name is Michelle, and this is literally me, a channel where I talk about books and everything book related. I was tagged by Pat at Book Chats with Pat to participate in the Valentine's book tag, hence my red shirt, and I'm ready to go. This tag was originally created by Kelly at What Jess is Reading, I believe. I'm sorry if I got that wrong. I'll reiterate that at the end of the video. But without further ado, let's get started with the questions. Question number 1. What is your favorite book couple ever? So, as someone who doesn't read a lot of romance novels generally, I'm going to my recent literary fiction books that I really enjoyed. And I have to say, in recent years, my favorite book couple has got to be Jack and Elizabeth from Wellness by Nathan Hill. I'm a huge fan of Nathan Hill. This is the first novel of his that I read, but this story is focused on a couple named Jack and Elizabeth who meet in college. They're in Chicago, and one day Jack sees her through his apartment window across the street inside her apartment. He instantly is infatuated. It sounds creepy, but it's not. A relationship grows from there, and we follow them right through the 90s, well into their adulthood. So if you've read this book, you might wonder what a bizarre choice, or you might be in full agreement with me. I don't know. I don't want to spoil anything, but I picked Jack and Elizabeth from this book because what they go through in their relationship is typical of what I think couples in long-term relationships go through. The ebbs and flows. There's nothing linear about being in a marriage or a relationship for a long time. It grows and changes with the people who are in it. And, you learn how to adapt and roll with everything and how to get to know each other better over time, I think. Myself, I've never been married. I'm a single person, but if I was, I would want to have a marriage like Jack and Elizabeth's in this book, just because it's so interesting. They evolve and change as people, some ways for the better, some for the worse, but it's a very human story, a very realistic portrayal of a long-term relationship. So that's why I picked Jack and Elizabeth as my favorite couple in recent memory. Question number 2. Let me just flip my page here. Number 2, relationship that never happened. You wanted them to get together, but they never did in a romantic way. They never did. For this one, I hands down am picking Lucy Barton and Bob Burgess from Tell Me Everything by Elizabeth Strout. This is a gem of a novel. It's a huge exploration of all types of love, friendship, parent, child, every kind of familial relationship you could have, as well as romantic love and friendship. In this case, Lucy and Bob are very close. They've developed this habitual walk that they take with each other every day, whereas they talk about their lives and what's happening. It's a little different situation as Lucy lives with her ex-husband, William. They live together, although they're no longer married. Bob is by himself. I think he's a pretty lonely guy, and their friendship is what keeps him going for the greater part of this story. It's a very mature relationship. I really love that. And I think they had the most solid foundation for a romance that never happened. Some of the best love stories are based on solid friendships. So I think that's why I chose Lucy and Bob from Tell Me Everything. I was not disappointed in their relationship. I loved it, but I just think they would have been ideally suited to take things to the next level. Question number 3. Worst relationship. A couple you wanted to break up because the character was awful, deceitful, abusive, any of those reasons. Hands down, for me, that has got to be Marlena and August from the book Water for Elephants by Sara Gruen. I read this one many years ago. I was blown away. I absolutely love this story, which is set in Depression era, and we follow a traveling circus that has fallen on hard times. Everyone is stressed, not the least of which is August, who is the ringmaster of this circus and the boss in charge of everybody. His wife, Marlena, is one of the acts in the circus. She's the equestrian act. She's very beautiful and very kind. She loves animals. She has a special bond with a elephant named Rosie. August, on the other hand, is extremely abusive. He's verbally abusive, physically abusive. He's an alcoholic. And his abuse doesn't just extend to humans, he also abuses animals. So therefore, this qualifies him as the ultimate dirtbag, in my opinion. And I really wish that they wouldn't have been together. Something happens, though, thankfully, and she does end up being with the person who is suited to be her ideal mate. It's a wonderful love story. It's all the things. It's a 5-star read for me. But yeah, August and Marlena from this book were the worst couple. And I'm happy to say also that if you're interested in the movie version, Christoph Waltz plays an awesome role as August in the movie adaptation. So if you find it, check it out. It's very good, well worth your time. So yeah, worst couple, August and Marlena. Question number 4. My favorite love triangle. This, hands down for me, has got to be Tin Man by Sara Winman. In this book, we are following Ellis, I have to look up the name, Ellis, Annie, and Michael. I consider this to be a love triangle rather than a polyamorous relationship because they don't enter into it with the intention of getting together. In fact, for years and years and years, none of these people don't have any idea of their true feelings for each other. This is a love triangle that develops over time from childhood onward into adulthood. Michael and Ellis strike up a friendship and it's their coming of age story. Ellis ends up married to Annie, who becomes a central figure in both men's lives. And the love that transpires between the three of them is nothing more than awe-inspiring, or nothing less than awe-inspiring, I should say. It's beautifully done. This book almost had me in tears by the end. It's so touching. The three of them have such a unique story, and ultimately life happens and they kind of have to roll with it. So yeah, for sure that this is my favorite love triangle. Like I said, they just innocently entered into these relationships not knowing, as any of us do, what would happen, and they fall in love, and it's beautiful. Well worth the time. So yeah, my favorite triangle. Number 5, my favorite tragic love story. That would have to go to the characters of Dancy and William in The Silence of Bonaventure Arrow by Rita Leganski. Now this book came out, I'd say I read it probably 10, 15 years ago. It's a sweeping saga that's set in New Orleans. Starts off in the 1950s. It's a really sweet romance between William and Dancy. They meet when they're very young. She's working as a waitress in a diner, and he's been admiring her from afar for a long time. Finally, one day, he works up the gumption to ask her out on a date, to which she says yes, because unbeknownst to him, she's also had a thing for him. So we get this kind of slow burn developing. They go on a date, they fall in love, they get married, and then one night, William finds himself a victim who is in the wrong place at the wrong time, and he unfortunately is killed. He gets in between a crime that's in progress, and he gets killed. At this time that he's killed, Dancy happens to be pregnant with their child, Bonaventure Arrow. Now, it's not a spoiler because this happens very early on in the book and sets the story off, sets the foundation for all the events that come afterwards. They're tragic because their love story was so palpable, so sweet, so believable, and you just wanted them to live happily ever after. They're a great couple to root for. So yeah, Tragically, he was killed, but it's also a good example of how love doesn't die. Even after he's gone, Dancy's by herself, but she's struggling through her grief, but she still feels his presence as acutely as she did when he was physically still alive in this world. So yeah, The Silence of Bonaventure Arrow. Couldn't recommend the book enough. And my tragic couple are Dancy and William. The next question we have here is, what book would you choose to be your Valentine? This is a hard one for me because I have a lot of favorite books. However, today I'm going to choose a book I read last summer called A Student of Weather by Canadian author Elizabeth Hay. Now, this is a story set in the 1930s Dust Bowl on the prairies when the weather was horrible. There was people that lived in the country, as this family does, had to put wet sheets over their doors and windows to prevent dust from coming in their homes. Food was scarce. The conditions were horrible for growing anything. It was a really dire time in history when survival was, just getting through the day with food and water and so on. In this book, we meet a character named Norma Joyce. Norma Joyce is a precocious child who develops a crush on a man who comes to their door one day in a snowstorm and stays. They host him for a few days till the weather passes, until he's able to leave again. She gets to know him. She falls in love with him. It's an unrequited love story. Not a typical romance, but the man she's got this love for falls in love with her sister. So there's the jealousy element. It spans decades. It follows Norma Joyce and her family over the years, as well as the man, I forget his name right now, pardon me, who moves to New York City and so on. But this book would be my Valentine because I enjoyed everything about this reading experience. Like I said, it was also the perfect book for me at the perfect time in the summer when the weather is kind of, full summer and you're in the sun reading. It's like, doesn't get better than that for me. So yeah, A Student of Weather by Elizabeth Hay. I'm just going to read something on the back that I think perfectly encapsulates the theme of Valentine's Day as well as why I love this book so much. It says, "From some accidents of love and weather, we never quite recover." So yeah, I think we all experience things like that in life. And yeah, another example of a book with the theme of love that I would pick for my Valentine's because I would love to read this again. I will read it again and again. And I think it's something I could get something new from every time I read it. So there you have it. Now, it's time for me to tag people. As I'm fairly new to BookTube, I only have a couple people to tag. I'm going to go with Megan from @Reads with Megs. Her channel is fairly new as well. Check her out. She's another Canadian girl. Love her channel. She's got a lot of interesting videos up already. So yeah, Megan @Reads with Megs. I'd love to hear what you think about the Valentine's tag. And then also I'll tag Beth Rey. Beth Reynolds. Her channel is called Beth Rey. Check her out. She's another fairly new booktuber from the UK, and I also love all her videos as well. As I said, I'm new, so I don't have a long list of people to tag, but I'd like to extend my thank you again to Pat with Book Chats with Pat for tagging me, as well as Kelly with What's Just Reading, who created this tag in the first place. So yeah, happy Valentine's Day to my subscribers and anyone new who happens to be scrolling and came across this video. Like and subscribe if you like this. If you don't, I understand. Thanks so much for your time. Have a great week and a great Valentine's Day. Much love to everybody. Bye.